Welcome everyone to NRW, where nerds rule the world. It's your girl, Tranquil, and I am here with Ravi Roth, and we have some lovely clips from his lovely YouTube channel. Check it out.
Hi friends, my name is Ravi Roth, and this summer I'm hosting a brand new series where I'm uncovering prides around the globe. The past year and a half, we've all been cooped up, but now it's time to live in color. Join me each Tuesday as I dive in, tank top first, and uncover what pride means to people in the queer community across the globe, and learn what makes each destination different, ignite, and spark with my new series, Ravi's Road to Pride. Ravi's Road to Pride! Ravi's Road to Pride!
Hey everyone, so as you saw, we got to see a little bit of Ravi's clips, and welcome to NRW. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's hot, but great at the same time. So tell us, how did you get into this travel vlogging, and especially with the emphasis on LGBT communities?
Well, I've always talked to anyone and everyone. So I have an innate curiosity to meet people everywhere I go. I moved to New York City to be an actor on the Broadway. So very large personality, if you can say that. And I kind of got into vlogging by accident. I went on my first trip with my ex, and we went to London, Paris, Barcelona, the trifecta.
Yeah.
And on that trip, I proposed, but don't worry, we're not together. I'm single. But on that trip, I vlogged. It was the first time I ever vlogged. I didn't know how to do it. I was holding my phone vertically instead of horizontally, so you had the black squares on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back home, and my talent manager was like, this is funny. You could have a travel show. And I was like, I know nothing about traveling. And then I went to a couple conventions. I BS'd my way in and schmoozed with some crowds, and I got invited to go to Barcelona. And during that time, I met this woman named Anna Garwood, who used to be the head of development at the Travel Channel. And she was like, you're a little bit of a hot mess, but we see star quality, so let me help develop this with you. And she helped develop it. I loved going and exploring queer culture. And then 32 countries later, I became really good at it.
Oh my good, 32. Oh man, goals. Mm-hmm. So much goals. I'm only at 22. So I got to catch up. I'm on my way. Okay. So in terms of you're traveling, where would you say is your favorite party place or favorite culture in terms of when you went across the world or even here?
Sure. So I think the great thing is that anytime I travel, even if it's to 15 minutes away from, I live in Manhattan, I feel like I get something out of the destination, and every destination is different. And so when people say where's your favorite country? Well, a country is really big, so there's many states, many cities, many destinations. I'd have to say the most surprisingly welcoming cities in the LGBTQ space were Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Iowa.
Didn't see that one coming.
Not at
Cedar
all.
Rapids, Iowa, super inclusive, really diverse, really fun, eclectic, really queer. Every restaurant, every tchotchke store, every activity I did, there was someone that was queer that was there, either running it behind the scenes or the owner. So that was really surprising for the United States. Provincetown, Massachusetts is the gay Disneyland. So anyone and everyone is welcome there in the LGBTQIA umbrella, no matter how you fit in. It's a place for misfits. It's a place for muscle queens. It's a place for bears. It's a place for lesbians, for families, and they really accept all. Outside of the United States, everywhere's, not everywhere, but outside of the United States, Barcelona was amazing.
Oh.
Amazing food, amazing man.
Yeah. I can agree to the amazing men and food for sure. I have also been to Barcelona.
And Istanbul is surprising. Istanbul was kind of what got the ball rolling for me. The architecture is stunning, but there was not much information about the queer space. So I went on Google. There were 7 queer bars listed. 4 of the 7 didn't exist.
Oh.
2 had the wrong address. So there was one. It was a hole in the wall, dumpy little dive. in an apartment building. I didn't know if I was going to get killed.
Oh,
and I go upstairs, and it was amazing. There were 6 people there. It was a total dumpy dive. And one guy spoke English, and he gave me the lowdown on the queer culture. It's not accepted. It's not condoned. Straight men hold hands. They kiss, but if you're gay and you do that, you'll get looks, you'll get stared at. If you're the same sex, you can't bring someone of the same sex into your hotel room. And the queer scene's very underground. And I was like, you know what? There needs to be a show about this. There needs to be something visual to tell people where to go. Something short and snappy.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Like even like you can't check out a hotel with like the same. What if you're not gay? What if you just are there with a friend?
They have to be like registered on the manifesto.
Okay. That's very wow. Yeah, there definitely needs to be some changes in that particular place for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. So you said you're starting a new series, and I watched a few episodes. It's Ravi Roth to Pride, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, like, how many places have you hit, and how many more are you headed to?
Well, I've hit up 5,
and
wow, I have a couple more up my sleeve. So I'm not sure of the total yet, but some domestic, some international. And really, we're just diving in to find out what Pride means to the people that live in each destination, and why is it city specific? Every city that has a Pride, they have a different mission. For New York City Pride, it is about the protest and then the party. Brooklyn is very much family oriented. My first Pride was the Tri-State Black Pride, and that had a really big educational element to it. AIDS epidemic is still really, really high risk down in Tennessee, and Black trans women are, unfortunately, they are suffering and not getting the type of information and attention that needs to be there. So there's educational seminars talking about PrEP, talking about safe injection sites, talking about how to have safe sex and where to go. Like there's very educational, and then the music and the food.
Man.
And I felt so welcome, and it was so great.
Oh.
And then I went to Columbus, Ohio for Franklinton Pride, and that was super family in the beginning. There was Nina West from RuPaul's Drag Race performed, and it was just like so special to see these families come. A lot of them allies, bringing their children to expose them to this, because growing up, I didn't have that. I didn't have role models. I didn't have prides to go to. I didn't have parents that were like, this is a gay person and it's okay to be gay. So it was a really amazing opportunity for me to see that for the generations growing up.
That's amazing. That actually is very inspiring for me, because as a Black bi individual, we, in the Black community in and of itself, it's definitely something that we're learning to be more acceptive of. It's a very, taboo thing in the community sometimes, and it definitely does depend on where you are located in the world, but in general it is. So I would have loved to go to that one just to see how they navigate that space, because even though I've been part of the community for as long as I can remember, my first Pride wasn't until 2019. So that was my very first.
Where was your first Pride?
Baltimore, actually. Baltimore's
really?
Pride. Yeah. It was my very first one, and I didn't know what to do. I was just like, I'm just here. I've got my rainbow colors on. What do I do next? And I was brought into the fold by some lovely drag queens. And they were like, hey, we love your look. Walk with us in the parade. Right?
Work.
That's
a great first Pride. That's a great
it was so crazy. I was just like, oh my gosh. How did I get from first Pride ever to in the parade? It was so cool. And I just really appreciate the fact that you were going around to all these different prides and, really learning the culture of, the LGBTQA scene, in these different areas. And so what does Pride mean to you specifically? Because I know you've gone around and asked other people, but what does that mean to you?
Well, I feel like it's a question. It's a question that constantly evolves, because every year, every month, every day, you know, things evolve. And for me right now, you know, Pride is a protest, first and foremost. We are not equal until we are all equal. And right now we are not all equal. Mm-hmm. So it is fighting for our Black and brown trans brothers and sisters. It is fighting for the B and the LGBT, because I feel like the B is not fought for by bisexual people. There's really, you know, and I mean that, like, it is fighting for everyone to have the same type of freedom that the cis white gay man has. And it's also paying homage to the baby boomer generation that paved the way, that I can have my extra pillow, yes. I can have my extra fan, I can wear my rainbows, I can be me, but it wouldn't have happened without them. So really paying homage to the people and really fighting for equality for all.
That's amazing. You're just making me smile all over the place. I just love it. And like, especially when you're talking about, you know, bi erasure, it's definitely something that I noticed more as I got older. And definitely not when I was younger. I was just happy to, you know, be accepted in a space, you know what I mean? Like at all. So, you know, erasure of like certain identities is definitely something that's still happening, you know, even, you know, 2021. So, you know, going around educational and all that just to show people what it's really about and how, you know, to be a good ally, because that's definitely something that I think a lot of people still need some work on, is becoming good allies. So based on allyship, what do you think a good ally is?
A good ally is someone who stands up for and stands by people that are outside of their norm or their tribe 365.
Yeah.
An ally is not someone that goes with you to the Pride party and gets turned. That is really fun, but that's great. Now what? An ally is someone who's constantly doing the work. And I feel like, in a way, doing this Pride series, not in June, but having it come out now and go throughout, you know, I'm hoping that this goes throughout the year, because Pride should be something that should be celebrated, should be explored, should be talked about throughout the year. And an ally is someone who is going to rally that on and champion that and stand up for injustice when they see it happen.
That's excellent. Yes. I love the idea of having Pride more than just in the month, just 1 month of the year. It's something that should absolutely be going on throughout, just forever, like online, in physical spaces, and online as well. When online communities come together in the LGBT community, how do you think that the online community has helped push the narrative or hurt the narrative? I've heard many different ideas on that.
Well, when you say the online community, do you mean social media?
Yes.
I feel like social media has both helped and hurt pretty much every element in every space. I think that it's brought a lot of awareness to social injustice, and it's made people, including myself, take a deep look in, you know, realize when we make mistakes. I mean, I'm just gonna come out and say it. Like, I made a TikTok video that was about the different tribes of gays. So like, there's bears, there's otters, there's wolves, there's giraffes, there's silver foxes, there's twinks, all these things. And I put an image to each one. So I put this on TikTok, and all of a sudden it was blowing up, and I was getting like hundreds and hundreds of views. And then I was getting comments, and it was like, racist, like, how dare you not include one person of color, no Asians, no, like, it was all white. And in that moment, and this was last year, and in that moment, I said, I have two choices. Well, three. One, ignore it. Two, take it down. Three, own it and take responsibility. So immediately I owned it. I took responsibility. I took it down. I made an apology video, and then I redid it. But redoing it took more time to do research, because when you go on Google and you search like gay otter, gay bear, gay wolf, gay giraffe, it does give you white people first. Yeah. So you have to go through, and that's unfortunate, and that's a world that we have to overcome, and we have to do the work. So that's a moment of where the internet made me feel real crappy, and then made me realize, like, you know, If you own it, there's no such thing as being canceled. If you apologize, you're not canceled. And it is about being woke to a certain extent, waking up, more like waking up. So I think that there are a lot of issues that folks are waking up to. Sometimes it could be overwhelming, but also we're here to build each other up and to support.
Excellent. Okay. I know that TikTok is a crazy app. I both love it and I'm very terrified of that app all at the same time.
Right.
But I applaud you because the energy it takes to make a single video is extremely impressive. That's why I haven't done it yet. But in terms of doing the work, do you happen to have, or do you know of any organizations or, directing someone, well, hey, how can I get involved? Where, what organizations will point me into the right direction so I can help, certain groups of people? Are there any organizations that that are like that?
Well, I'd say you can definitely volunteer. LA Forney Center is a great place to volunteer, learning about LGBTQ homelessness, the LGBTQ youth, the Gay Men's Health Crisis Center in New York City, the center, I'm just saying New York City specific, the Center NYC, a great place for resources. Go to any bookstore. There's a lot of books on queer history. It depends on what you really want to learn more about. In the travel space, I would say go to iglta.org. That's the International Gay and Lesbian Travel Association, where you can learn a little bit more about different cities and countries that you're visiting, whether homosexuality is legal, illegal, what is safe, who you should work with if you want to work with a certain organization or a certain cause.
Okay. And I'm going to write that one down for the travel bit, because I would love to actually be able to meet up with certain groups like that, abroad. I've never actually been able to do that. I've traveled, but not, specifically in those spaces. And that would be really cool to be able to do. And in terms of children, new, I guess what you would say, new to their sexualities, let's say. I know that there is a lot of depression that's been on a huge rise, especially with people in the LGBT scene, as well as people of color, just in general. When it comes to, I guess, social media, now that it does help, it amplifies all the negative voices as well.
I couldn't imagine growing up with Instagram, with TikTok, with growing up knowing hey, Johnny, what are you doing tonight? Oh, wait, Johnny's having a party and I wasn't invited?
Right.
That, and then seeing people talk smack on social media, it can definitely be dangerous. So I feel I don't know. I don't even have really any advice on that, other than if you don't feel safe to come out quite yet and you're not ready, and you don't feel like you have a safe space to be able to be yourself growing up, you don't have to. There's no rush. There's no time limit. Just because we are in this new era where, people in elementary and middle and high school can start to use pronouns, which is great. And you feel included. If you don't feel safe in your home or you don't feel safe in your school, you don't have to come out just yet. And there's no rush to it. So safety is number one.
100%. I was going to definitely piggyback on the fact that safety is definitely number one. I used to teach a little bit, and so I just got to observe kids and how they interact with each other. And it's interesting as well, the younger you get when it comes to children, the less prejudice they have, the less separating that they have. And I think that education in these spaces and acceptance should be something that starts a little earlier. Because I don't think that we have these, cultural classes or anything like that until we get into college, until we have to pay out the dollars for it, and I think that's just something that we should try to at least educate or inform at a younger age, not push. We don't want to push any agendas or identities or anything onto anyone. Just here's the information.
Right.
So
well, I think I'm hopeful that that's where we're headed. In Scotland, they teach queer history in schools.
that's
And
amazing.
in Oklahoma, I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma for the last series I just did, Vacation Travel Show. And in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they're now starting to teach in schools about the Tulsa Race Massacre, which is amazing, is past its time because it's been 100 years and it's something, it's like the biggest massacre on American soil that people don't know about still.
Right.
I didn't even know about it until last year.
Yeah.
And so I think that we're starting to make baby steps. It needs to go a little further, but you can see it around the world start. So, we just got to be there to help amplify and help push out these messages.
I agree. So what's next? Like, what is your next city?
Well, coming up, I am going somewhere outside of the United States.
Oh.
I'm not going to give it away.
Okay. Okay.
But I'm leaving the United States to do a Pride somewhere.
Okay.
And I'm going to be continuing to be doing the Pride series around the country and abroad as long as the world doesn't shut down again. And as long as we continue to celebrate Pride, I am there. I am waving my flag, and I am going to be giving you Billy on the Street, but make it gay travel.
Okay. All right. I love that. All right. I just have one or two more questions for you before we wrap up everything. I see the pillow extra. Is that something that you got for you, or is it like a site, or how did that extra pillow come?
So I have a merch line. It is my hashtag extra merch line. There's pillows. There are baby onesies. There are tank tops. Yeah. Okay. There are t-shirts, there are baseball tees, so it's all on my website, RaviAroundTheWorld.com.
Okay, you hear that, everyone? RaviAroundTheWorld.com. Get your extra pillows and everything else. I'm plugging you right now because I look at that pillow and I'm like,
this one?
Yeah.
This one?
And I also love that your like world map is like tie-dyed, like is it like a mosaic or something? Like it's so...
my cousin Sarah, shout out to Sarah Fish, my cousin Sarah is obsessed with making puzzles, and we went over to her house like 6 months ago, and it was in the basement, and I'm like, what are you doing with that? Because it's kind of gay. And I'm like, I want it. So I took her puzzle back, and now it's mine, and it's a puzzle map, and it's kind of gay.
So. Love that. Okay, love that story. That's excellent. Like, look, shout out to the artists out there who help us look fabulous on a day-to-day basis, because we need you, y'all. I'm telling you that we need you. Okay. So, craziest Pride experience. I know you've been to a lot. I'm ready for this.
Craziest Pride experience. Oh my God. World Pride in New York City.
Okay.
It was insane. It was insane. There's already like 97 million people here, and there was like 120 billion here not really. But there was so many people, you couldn't walk, and it was just like, this was before the pandemic. So everyone was just so giggity gay. The cops were gay. I mean, everyone was just like celebrating love, it was such a rally. I mean, the parade was 14 hours, and I ended the night with the lesbians, as I usually do, at Henrietta Hudson's, dancing my face off, clacking my fan. I mean, it was absolutely bonkers wild. Got home at like 5 a.m.
Wow.
Exhausted. So like covered in glitter, just dripping sweat, but it was really fun. Also, I'm going to give a shout out to Cape Town, South Africa's Pride, because that one, it was small, but it was so mighty, and everyone dressed so lavishly to like walk down these little roads. And I mean, the parade lasted one day. There was a festival in a park, but we celebrated there for 2 weeks, and it was so much fun.
That's Cape Town, South Africa. It's crazy. It's crazy to me because like Pride is still new for me. Like, and that's very interesting for someone who's been aware of, their sexuality for a very long time. For me to have like all my Pride experiences are so new. So to hear that they have that in South Africa, it just kind of blows my mind that that exists in more places than just New York or LA. You know, it's everywhere. Like, that's so cool. As I'm just like, I'm learning so much from you today. You have no idea. I'm learning so much from you today. So, and final question we got here. Hold on, pull it up. Okay. So you've traveled all over the world. You're doing a podcast right now, or rather, you know, a video podcast right now. And do you have any shows that you plan on making? Because I know you said that you were into theater. So
I did happen to write a little ditty. I wrote a little something.
Oh, something.
During the COVID-19.
Okay.
You know, I haven't gone back to it in a few months, but I wrote a play.
Okay.
And I would love to at some point explore, you know, putting that out there. And then other than that, Gaycation season 2 and That's continuing my road to Pride.
Yes, I love that. I love the Gaycation season 2 is coming up. Is there a date specific, or we just gotta wait and see?
We're just waiting and seeing because, you know, good old COVID.
Good old panorama. That's true. That's true. So,
I'm Ravi Roth. I am a queer travel guru. I have a travel show called Robbie's Road to Pride. Please, please, please follow Nerds Rule the World. Bye.
We'll be right back.